She is the fifth female ever to get the Grandmaster title. Absolutely incredible achievement. She's played and even won against some of the greatest players in the world, and she's going to show you some of those games today. She's outplayed some of the greatest players in the world, no doubt. And I am just super excited. I've always been a fan of Pia Cramling ever since I was a little kid. So it was very exciting to me that Grandmaster Pontus Carlsson told me she was available to teach this lesson. You guys are really lucky today. So pay attention. Pontus, tell us a little bit more about Pia, as you guys both play for the same team.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have our paths have crossed many times since we have played in the same team, same club team for many years. And we have also played in the national team together, of course, for many years. And also we even ended up living very close to each other in Spain for a while. So when Pia's been living in Fuengirola for many years. Now she's back in Sweden, and I used to live in Malaga, which is very close to there. So wherever we have been, I think our paths have crossed almost every year when we both have been alive. So it's I know Pia well, and I know her family very well as well. I think almost the whole family is more or less grandmasters. So her husband is also a grandmaster, Juan Beon, and her daughter is a woman FIDE master and very good chess streamer. So Anna Cramling. So you should follow Anna. She does Twitch streams about chess, and she shows a lot of chess contents, plays with users and so on. So follow Anna Cramling on Twitch. But Pia, if I'm going to say something about Pia, she is a very strong grandmaster and with a very positional style, which you will probably see some proof of here. So she has a very good chess understanding. And she also has won the European Championships 2 times. So she's a two-folded European champion. And she has been one of the best female players for many years. I would say more than 30 years. She's been one of the best female players in the world. So listen carefully to what she has to say, and I'm not going to take up more time because she has really interesting things to say. So listen to her, and don't forget to register for the tournament.
Thank you, Pontus. And with no further ado, let's give the floor to Grandmaster Pia Cramling, as she's going to show us some of her best games.
So hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here with you, to get this invitation and to see you all. And I'm more than anything, you can say chess is my passion. I've been playing chess for over 50 years, and I still love it like the first day. And when I was like some of you, I started to play chess quite late. Only with 10 years, I didn't know anything about chess. I thought, wow, this is boring. I don't want to know it. But my brother, my hero, he took me to the chess club. And there, from the first day, when they were teaching me how to move the pieces, I just thought this was something I liked very much. And, my development in the beginning was quite slow. It took me a year, more or less, to understand the pieces, how they were working together. But when I was 12, I started to make good results, starting to win local tournaments. And what was very peculiar with Sweden and maybe North Europe is that when we play tournaments, we don't have all girls tournament. We always play together, boys and girls. So back then, this is about a long time back, I was in the club, I was one of 2 girls. So I always played with the boys. And in one way, it was good because I always played with the best players, and I got used to play with them. And there was just nothing special about it. And but I was very mentally, I was not so very strong. So I before a game, because for me the result was counted. I only wanted to win, and if I didn't win, it was like a failure. But when I put so much tension on myself, I really couldn't play the way I wanted. I came to the board, I was even shaking. And, you know, when only when the first move has been played, I could go to focus, I could concentrate, I can do what I really love, the chess itself. So I realized that I had to take away this tension. And so I started to not have results goals. My goals was to maybe to play quicker in the opening, to be better than my opponent in some part of the game. If I play a stronger player, how long time could I resist? But never the results. And I noticed that in that way, I became more relaxed. And when I'm more relaxed, I also become more confident. And when I'm more confident, I make the right decisions in much quicker time. So this was a very important part for me to start doing like that. And I think this is a little bit the reason why I've been playing in the top level for a long time. Now I'm rated maybe among 25 in the world, but I'm still get a chance to play against the strongest player. And it's because I have this very love for the game itself. And yeah, I don't know. What has also been important to me is when I was lonely girl, that I had my brother, I went to tournaments with him. In the beginning, I had some few girlfriends, but they left, but the social part. So, and I realized with time that when I go to tournament, I have to go to tournament. I really love to play. I will be happy there. I will have company, and then I can do my very best. Later on, I met Juan Manuel Bellon Lopez. He's a grandmaster from Spain. And he was the reason that I took the decision to devote my life to chess. So we were traveling around, playing all the tournaments, and there were almost all the time only male players, very seldom female players. And I had a chess hero. There was a player I admired very much in the top, and that was Viktor Korchnoi. So when I was 18, I got to play him the first time. It was in an open tournament. And I was so, wow, I couldn't believe it. I was going to play with him. That game ended in a draw. And I was so pleased after the game. He was sitting with me. There were lots of people coming up and we were analyzing together. And that was fantastic. Next time I met him, and this is the game I will share with you. And it's from Biel, Switzerland. And here we have the start position. So we played a Grandmaster tournament in Switzerland. It was very strong. I was one of the lowest rated player. I was the only female player. And in the second round, I got to play Viktor Korchnoi again. And here is how the game started. So I played, let's see, e4. I was the e4 player at that time. It was just later on that Juan Manuel, my husband, got me to change to play more d4. So, and he played Karpov. This was expected. Here you have lots of different systems, but I like to play this way, which is, let's see, c4. And now I took and took. And of course, black now wants to take back with a piece. So you develop the piece, I defend, he took the pawn. I developed my knight. And now, normally this is black. White doesn't really have so good time to go out with a white square bishop. So this is more normal to play like Korchnoi did, out with a pawn to quickly develop his bishop, black square bishop and castle. And I played d4. And this position is a very well-known position. White is playing with a lonely pawn here in the center. It's an isolated pawn. And of course, this with time will be a weakness. But now when we have lots of pieces on the board, we have open files, I will get activity. And the piece activity is the way I want to compensate for having this pawn, which is isolated. But if we would start changing pieces and go into the end game, then the position would always improve for black because there would be less pieces for me and I would have less compensation for the pawn, for the weakness. So now he played bishop b4, and this is a move which was becoming popular at that time. And it's a little bit it's a little bit a tricky move because it's quite natural. You're going out with a bishop. There is a pin here on my knight, and I have to do something about it. So I can choose to do it in different ways. And the most natural is to defend it with the bishop on d2. But actually, I'm not so keen to have my bishop on d2. And this is why the way Korchnoi played was quite interesting, because the bishop is actually better on c1. It can be a little bit, I will show you later why it's like that. But it's because on c1, my pawn is better defended by my queen. So this is why I'm not so happy to have to play it, but I needed to defend the knight on c3 in a way or another. So black developed, I developed also, and I like to put the bishop on d3 because I'm going to look a little bit at black's king side, and on d3, yes, you can see it looking at h7, maybe I can get some attack there, maybe to play later on knight g5. So it's a normal square to have the bishop on d3. So now he played bishop e7. He went back. So he gave me this extra tempo for free. But actually, if I could choose, I would have wished that it was on c1 already. Because now, when you play bishop e7, let's say I played a3 because I was very annoyed about this knight coming to b4 and try to go to b4, and then let's see, he's coming to b4 and then try to change my good bishop, because this is the bishop I absolutely not want to change at all. This bishop, the black square bishop, is not as strong as you see my pawn is on d4, but with the pawn on d4 taking all this back leg square in the center, the bishop d3 is a strong bishop, is an attacking bishop also. So I played this a3, and now Korchnoi, he went directly looking at my pawn on d4. And now, because my bishop is on d2, this is the pawn is a little more weak. But I had time to castle, and he also castles. Because if you start to make try to take the pawn too quickly before you have castle, this is something you should normally avoid to do, because there can always be some tricks, some checks, and something goes wrong. And this is why, for example, this, to take it now would absolutely not work, because we have this check and the bishop is lost. And black could take the pawn this way. But if you do it like that, this is, I can play it different ways, but this would be one way of actually making it difficult for black to castle. And you see that we have the open E line, I have the bishop pair, and I have full compensation for the pawn. So this was nothing Korchnoi wanted to do. So what he did, he castled, and now he also, I castled, and he also castled. And now I will actually show you this position if my bishop was on c1, so you understand why this bishop b4 was so good in the opening. So I go back. If you would have played, we would have had the same position here and bishop f6. But with my bishop on c1, I would just play bishop c2. You see my pawn on d4 is well defended by the knight and the queen. And my next move would be, I don't know if you go b6, I would just go queen e3, come here, and I would just quickly get out with my pieces, put the rook on d1, and maybe later try to get rook e1, knight d5 in. So I have a lot of piece play. So it would have been very easy for me to follow up from that moment. But like the game went with the bishop on d2. Now I cannot play bishop c2 because he will just grab my pawn. So it doesn't work any longer. So I had to play in another way. And I decided that I will actually play a move to be a little more active, but I will let him take the pawn if he wanted. So I played queen e2 here. And so Korchnoi was a very well-known player for taking the pawns when it's possible. So do you want to come in now, Jennifer? You have.
What's that? No, I was just thinking about how, he always liked to take pawns, right? So you were expecting him to take the pawn.
Yeah, when I played this, I expected him to go for the pawn, but I had a plan and I was satisfied with my plan. And this is so important that when you play you play a move, you know what you expect the opponent to do, and then you know what you will do, and you have a plan which you are happy with. And this is what I had. So I played this queen e2. I didn't know what was the best in this position. It was what I decided to do during the game. And after some thought, he went for the pawn, and he took it that way. And the reason is, yes?
And this is important, that you dare to do your moves. Because you must dare to do the best moves. If you see some move that is good, and you're playing because Korchnoi used to play world championship matches against Karpov, so he was one of the strongest players in the world. So you have to dare to do your moves. So even if you see something that is good, it doesn't matter what opponent you are playing against. You have to dare to do the move.
Yes, it's very, very important what Pontus say. This is really what makes the difference, that you, even if you see them, but you do them and you believe in yourself. It's so important to be confident and that you believe in whatever you are doing, because that way you are also finding the best moves. So to be optimistic and confident gives very much in chess. And here, so he can't take it that way, because here I will actually take the pawn back, and here, and I grab the bishop. And this position it's about equal, but I'm playing one of the strongest players in the world. I wouldn't mind to have a position like this, different color bishops, equal pawns. So Korchnoi has to create something, because of course he wanted to beat me very much. So, and so what he did is he can play g6, and this is probably the strongest move. And this is a little bit psychological in chess, that sometimes the best is not to do what you can do. It's sometimes to threaten to take the pawn. And now with this move, you will actually block this long diagonal against h7. But Korchnoi, yeah, he liked to grab pawns, so he took it that way. And the point is that if I now, for example, try to take the piece back like this doesn't work for me, because after he has a tactical shot here, he can go e5, and I'm losing a piece. So I can't take it. So I don't win the pawn back here. And so, and if I go queen e4, yeah, he can even go f5, but knight f6 is just keeping everything under control. So what I did is, I had my idea. I took on d5, and now Korchnoi has only one way to take back, and it's in with the queen, because, and this is what he played, but he could take with the pawn. I have this, again, taking h7 and check, going back and take on d4. And now all of a sudden we have equal pawns, but now it's black who has an isolated pawn. And when playing against isolated pawn, it's so important to control the square in front of the pawn. Here is the d4 pawn, and of course, this is all mine. So in this position, it's a little more pleasant for me. We have different color bishop, but my bishop will be more active than black. So once again, this is nothing black wanted to play. So Korchnoi, he took with the queen, and this is what I had calculated. And now I played bishop e4. I had to move the queen. And I took on c6. He had to take back with the pawn, and I took on d4. And now we got this position. There is I have given black an extra pawn, but this pawn on c6, it doesn't, yes, okay, sorry, yeah.
Well, what do you guys think? Who would you rather be here? Wow, doesn't look like, it looks like a lot of people like activity, Pia.
Yeah, no, that's good actually. Yes, it's good. It's good. And but shall we wait a little bit?
Yeah, we can wait. Why? Well, actually, somebody who already voted. Why don't you tell us your opinion? Bernice, what about you? Bernice, also because we have a cross-cultural group, tell us where you're from before you give your answer.
Hello, I'm from Kenya, and I chose because of the potential activity, and they've developed more pieces and they have more activity.
All right, so she likes the activity with the development. I'll call in one more person. Elizabeth, what did you say?
I also like the activity and like that you could do bishop to c3 and get the rooks into active positions.
All right, amazing. We actually have two Elizabeth. So the other Elizabeth, do you want to say what city? And I don't know where, Elizabeth, you can tell us what city you're from in the chat.
I am from Kenya, and I do accept what Bernice has said.
So she agrees with Bernice.
Okay, she agrees with Bernice. Very good. Okay, well, let's find out what Pia thinks.
Yes. Now, when I was playing this position, I thought that my activity will be enough for equality, but I didn't believe that it would be more than equal. But I know I have to be quick because this is Black has a static advantage pawn, and of course, if Black could get his bishop to, let's see, I don't know which way, but to d5, then this will become a very strong bishop. And also Black has some idea maybe to play f6, e5, which would restrict my, f6 and e5, and that would restrict my bishop. So, but I thought, I was anyway quite happy about this, that we had reached this position, and I thought it would be enough for equality, but I didn't believe it would be enough for more. So I actually didn't go bishop c3, which is absolutely a possibility. I prefer to, I actually play this way because I wanted to win time with my rooks. So first now I'm kicking a Black rook, and Black has to remove it. And because after c5, I would go rook fd1, and I would just take the pawn. And then, of course, in this position, this would be, I would just get pawn back, and I would still be a little bit bad, I would still be more active. So this is not what Korchnoi wanted to do. He moved the rook, and I put my rook on d1. And that's why I wanted to hit the rook with the bishop so I can get the rook to the line for free. Here, maybe, Korchnoi had different, he could choose different places for his queen. He chose to go queen b6 to be close to his pawn, and also now the plan is to go c5, and out with the bishop to after c5, and then out with the bishop to b7. So I play queen e5, and the idea is with queen e5 is one is, of course, I want a little bit to avoid c5. This is the main thing. I'm also getting a little bit close to his king side here. And I'm also stopping Black from playing e5, because Black would also like to go e5 to get out with the bishop and to put this pawn on a Black square. So my bishop is more restricted. So I played queen e5, he went queen b5, and I don't know, I didn't want to go. I wanted to keep my queens because Korchnoi was very well known for grabbing pawns, but he was also very well known for being one of the best players in rook endgames. And I was very worried to take the queens off the board. And you will see that in several decisions I make in the game here that I didn't want to change. So I just decided I keep my queen active, and and now my plan is rook c1. It's not so easy for Black either to get out with the pieces. I mean, you can't do something like here. I will just enter very well. So this is the activity I have, and what Black has to be careful with. So after queen e7, he went queen b6, and again I can take on. I can play this position. I could have done this, but I wasn't very. And maybe then they go rook d6 to play something like here, and yes, to get activity. But it will be I with the pawn down who will have to fight for keeping the game going. And of course, when you have different color bishop, if we take away the rooks, and you see there, Black has only one pawn more, Black has not possibility to create another second pass pawn, then it would have been a draw. Quite easy draw. But with the rooks left on the board with different color bishop, when you have initiative, it can make a big difference. So it would have still be a long fight here. And I wasn't, again, it's very psychological. I didn't want to change queen. So when he went back, I also went back. And of course, I knew that Korchnoi, he wouldn't repeat again. But repeating some few moves in a game, this is a little bit the psychological part, and there's nothing wrong. Also, it's a way to get closer to the 40 moves. At this time, we played 40 moves in 2.5 hours. We had quite a long time for the games. And then after, when you changed, you're a little bit telling your opponent, I'm not interested, I'll withdraw, I'm going for a win here, so you know that. And of course, I knew that Korchnoi would play differently. He played a4 here, and now I actually like this bishop c5 that I did. It's again that I want to keep the pawn back, because I could have gone bishop c3, but just here I think I like this bishop c5. I'm getting this move with tempo, and I kicking his queen a bit. So he played queen d3, he could have gone to other squares. And now this is a moment where I actually don't play the best move. I am so concerned that he's going to play f6 and e5. So I decided to stop that. But I forgot about my own king safety. So I played this f4 move. But f4, when you go forwards with the pawns, they're not allowed to go back. If black one day gets a bishop to d5, you look at the bishop at d5, or the c6 pawn is falling, there will be so much threats against g2, and I can never ever go back and put the pawn on f3. So this was a mistake what I played, but it was because I was so much in this plan to avoid him to getting to move one of his pawns, c6 or e6. The right way to play here would actually have been to go bishop d4 in this moment. Actually, in this moment, this is better. And he had to go f6, queen h5. And here, if he, for example, here he needs maybe to go like rook f8. And you see he's going to weaken his king side. And when they have all this pawn, not on the second rank, on the third rank, you can see that king is so much weaker. And with the queen left on the board, this would have been much more dangerous for him. So, and there is also a little bit tactical shot here. If black is not playing carefully, if black would do something like bishop a6, I just would, play this here. And you can see when the second rank is open, the 7th rank, it will just be mate immediately. So this is also very common theme in chess, that when you get a rook to the 7th rank, how strong it can be. Even in rook endgames, where you don't have other pieces, a rook on the 7th rank, which is cutting off the king, is a tremendous piece. So, but I played this f4, and now he was getting out with the bishop. And here, but I thought that I would have good compensation. I have my piece activity. I'm getting to have some threats here. And now what Korchnoi did is he played something very important, because there is a hidden threat in this position. Let's see if black play carelessly, then I would absolutely win immediately with, bishop d4. Black has to open the 7th rank, and we have this tactical shot. And it's because when you are attacking, you need to have more pieces. It's with now I have my bishop, queen, looking at the king side, but the rook is also entering, so there is another threat. So Korchnoi, he makes a very good move. He defends his king side with a piece, and he defends it with his queen c2. So now when I go bishop d4, he doesn't play, he defends it with the queen. And the queen is also a defender, but at the same time, it's also attacker, because it's very close to my king. It's looking at g2. And black, of course, is dreaming of playing this. And then black would have full control, would also close the D line for my rooks, and then just try to get some of the rooks, black rooks to enter. It would be difficult for me. So I decided to go to play rook e1. And my idea with this is, one is that the rook is, my queen rook is the last rook, which is not active in position. And I wanted it to enter in the game. I also had some ideas of maybe, rook d3, rook g3. This was some dream I had. And I had also another idea, and that's like, after rook one, if you go bishop c4, I would go f5 because black is mated on the last rank. And if you move, I would just go f6. And now this would just be, even if we're changing queens, this would just be an improvement for me, because black will play without king. The king will be so much weaker in this position. I will also remain with my rook on the 7th line, and I would threaten very strongly to enter with my rook. So f5 is a very strong move, and an f6, which would mean that black king would be so weak. And even in the end games, it's very important if you have an active or a weak king, because in the end game, we take away the queens, for example. If you have a passive king, it's like playing with a piece down. The king has to be active in the end games when it's not dangerous for being mated or something. So, yeah. So, but he wanted to avoid it, so he played his f6, which is a good move. I went away. I went to queen c5. And now he played another good move, queen f5. And you can see how Korchnoi, he wants to change the queens, and I don't dare to change the queens. And to change the queens here now would have been even worse, because if first of all, if I take the queen here, he would get this double pawn, but it's quite a good double pawn. The f6 pawn is defending the king. So when you have double pawn, double f pawn, the king has extra safety, but you give also an outpost here for the rook on e4, and you open the line so the rook on e8 can also be active. So it's not that black is winning, but black has a very nice advantage here, something I would not dare to play against such a player like Korchnoi. So I avoided, and I moved my queen here. I couldn't take the pawn. I would have loved to do that. I also like the grab pawns, but there after bishop b5, I would just have lost the game. So I play queen d6, and now I think that Korchnoi, he made a mistake here. And the right way is to enter bishop c4. But I think he was worried about queen c7. Now I'm also attacking g7 and queen g6 and rook e3. I think this is what was worrying him. So I can't enter with my rook, and so this was what the way. If you go bishop d5, I could play this, which is not, which would have been very unclear actually. So this is why I like this little king move to avoid these tricks. I would play with the queen against the rook. The king is a little bit open, so it would be very unclear. So this was the right way, but Korchnoi, he made a mistake. He played e5. And I took on e5, and he took back. And now I a little bit like what Pontus said here. I didn't trust myself, because here the most logical move here is to take on e5, but I can only take it with one way, of course, because if I take like this, there is this mate threat on f1. But I could actually take it this way. And it looks like it's not possible, because after rook take e5, I cannot take with the rook again, because we have this mate on f1. And if I take here, he would take on d7. But I had this tactical rook d8 here. His king has to come out. He has to go to f7. And in this position, there is nothing better for him than to repeat, to come back. If he would try to go something like, you have to come back here, and it would have been an equality, it would have been perpetual. If he would try something like this, which could be, I would just go b4, and this would be, it would be I just showing you here. It would be just disaster. A lonely king against two heavy pieces. So I could have taken the pawn, but it was like Pontus said, I didn't really trust myself. I just believed that when Korchnoi gave me, put a pawn here, it's because I cannot take it. So now if you don't take it, I guess the most logical way is to go to bishop c3. But I was a little bit concerned about my king, so I put the bishop on c5 instead. And now my day is actually to go rook e7 and then to take the pawn. Oh, sorry, to take this. So this is my plan. And here now, this position, it's, black probably should play something like I'm maybe also starting to plan to take the pawn on c6. So in this position, Korchnoi played this move. He played this move. And what do you think about the position?
Yeah, so what would you guys do now? For those of you who, for some reason, don't see the poll, the options are queen takes queen on f6, queen c7, queen d1, and rook d1. So pick your move. We'll give you guys a little time. Critical decision. So we'll give you at least till that minute mark. So take your next 30 seconds. And if you think you want to not only answer, but also unmute yourself and tell Pia what you would do, just raise your hand on Zoom. Let's see. April has her hand up, I think, but it disappeared. Okay. I'm going to call on you, but let's just give people another 10 seconds. Oh, no, that's okay. We got a lot of people voting already. April, what would you do?
I'd play rook d1 because if the queen takes, and if the queen takes, I can take with the other rook, and then both of my rooks are very active.
Okay, April's opinion is rook d1. Any other comments from people who voted already? Raise your hand if you'd like to unmute yourself and tell Pia what you would play. Bernice, what would you play?
Next f6, because when the pawn captures, I can move the rook to e3, then to e3.
All right. So great idea there, Bernice. Your sound is breaking out, but your ideas are crushing. Anna, what about you?
I think queen to c7 because then it makes a battery with the queen and rook and puts pressure on the g7 pawn.
All right, great feedback, everyone. Let's find out what Pia did, as this was a tricky one.
Absolutely. And also because a little bit the psychological part that I have been avoiding changing queens all the games. Every time Korchnoi gave me a chance to change queen, I was avoiding, I was hiding away. But actually this time I didn't hide away. And I think it was exactly like what Bernice said, that when so I took here, and let's see if I can I make it smaller? Yes. And because what happened here now, when the G pawn disappears, I can, exactly like she said, I can enter with my rook. So I have this tremendous rook on the 7th, but I'm threatening to enter with another rook. And actually, Korchnoi, he actually played king h8, but I play rook h3, and in this moment he resigned the game. And I don't know, he could have, played like here, but then I can just go here, and I can actually, here in this position, I can actually maybe even play different way, maybe even just bishop, maybe even bishop d7. I wasn't really, maybe even to play like this way if I wanted, and to have it like that. This I could have done, or actually, sorry, no, in this moment, I would just have gone, probably I would have gone here. Rook a7, and when you move the bishop, I have bishop e7, and this will be made, of course. So it's the when you get the rook on the 7th, it's such a strong, and when I have another rook entering, the double rooks on the 7th is just killing. So this was a little bit surprising that a player like Korchnoi can make a mistake, but I think we are all human, and it was this little bit psychological part of that he wanted to reach a rook endgame, but he forgot that changing the queens here, his G point disappeared. So I thought I should go, go to the next position, or what do you think?
Yes, I think you should show the position against Karpov, because they're going to love to see that. One question though, did Korchnoi, what was his reaction when you won the game? Because I heard that sometimes he got upset when people beat him.
Yeah, no, he ran away. He was very upset. He said some things and he ran away. So actually, I played with him 10 times. And the first game, it was very nice. We analyzed together. But in the last games, he was also getting more quiet. But those 2 games, I beat him once more. He just ran away.
Yeah. Yeah, he did that a lot, apparently. Men and women, though. He just did not like to lose at all.
Yes, exactly. It was against anyone. He didn't want to lose. So
he was a very bad loser. Very bad loser.
Yeah.
So only chance for a post-mortem was that he didn't lose.
Oh yeah, I heard that if you beat him, if you lost to him, he said you were a great player and you played so well. But if you beat him, you were not very good at all. Backwards.
Yeah.
But that's amazing that you got a chance to experience that twice. And that was a game that Grandmaster Cramling outplayed none other than the legendary Karpov. So let's see how he did it.
Yes. Okay. So Anatoly Karpov is white. Yeah, maybe we look at it from the white side. This game was played in 95, long time ago, in the Spanish Team Championship. And I got to play. It was actually played very early, a Sunday morning, 10 o'clock. And this is the King's Indian. I used to play the King's Indian with black. And Karpov always liked to fianchetto, to put his bishop here on G2, which is very solid, very reliable opening for white. And I like to play this way, C6. I'm going for the center in a little peculiar way. I go Queen A5. I could actually have played in another move order. I could have played Knight D7 instead, and then we get the same thing. But I like this mover. It doesn't really matter. And the idea with Queen A5 is more that I want to go E5, and I defend the pawn from A5 instead from another square. So E4, this is normal. You take the center. Now I played E5, and now after E5, I'm putting pressure on D4 here. So, and I'm a little bit want to play bishop G4, because after bishop G4, if there's more pressure on D4, white cannot take back with a knight. So now comes a very common move in this kind of position, to play H3. And the main idea is to avoid piece to come to G4. Bishop G4, sometimes they could even be tactics with knight G4, but in this position, to avoid bishop G4. And actually also, we will see later, knight D7, and here he played rook E1. But there is another idea with H3, and it's also when you put the bishop on E3, you don't want to be annoyed. Let's see, when you put the bishop on E3, you don't want to be annoyed by knight G4. So this little move H3 is just a move you need to make in the setup to have harmony for white. So you play rook E1. This is also a very common move. You are the rook is defending on E4. Sometimes we will see in the game, it might be important to have the square F1, but mainly to put the rook on this line, on E line, defending E4. And I took back, and I played knight E5. So yeah, and that's one reason why I played rook E1, so he could defend the pawn with bishop F1. And here, in this position, I actually know that Pontus had played bishop E6. I think bishop is E6, or maybe I'm wrong. But here, yeah. But I played the most popular way, put my rook on the E line. So both rooks are looking here a little bit against each other. It's open, it's a half open file. So logically, I want to have a rook there. And I haven't really made up my mind what to do with my white square bishop. So, and here he played bishop E3 to the logical move to defend the knight, to develop it. There is nothing irritating with knight G4 because H3 was played. So, and here I play bishop E6, and I'm putting more pressure on C4. And the logical for white now is to take the bishop, you get the bishop pair, and 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 you see white has more pawns in the center. If white can start struck with f4, I will be pushed back. And there is a long-term small advantage to have both of these bishop pair. But what do you think this position? In this position, Karpov played, so he played a3 here in this position. And actually, this is not the best move. And here I had, yes, here it comes.
Yeah, he has a really good idea here. It's not easy, but put your tactics hats on. Tactics hats. Remember, when a player as great as Karpov misses something, it's probably not going to be one pure tactic, right? It's probably going to be a combination of tactics, right? Like double attack, removal of the defender, like a lot of things kind of coalescing or combining.
Yeah, and remember to look at the forced moves.
That's right.
So, and remember what it was. It was first checks, captures, or threats.
Yeah.
And it sounds like somebody's already got it. I see that. I think Hope was raising her hand as well. If you got it, this is the thing. Like if you see it, you see it. But I think it'd be very difficult psychologically for some people to find this against Karpov, because you wouldn't even think that he would miss something like this, right? So that's kind of amazing. Rowan, what do you got?
So I think you can play knight takes e4, knight takes, queen takes e1, queen takes with knight f3.
That is right. And
very well done.
Pia,
very well done.
At what point did you notice you knew before he played a3, or you saw when he played a3?
No, I knew this. I knew this. So when he played a3, you know, my heart was like this. I didn't know what to think, because, you know, I play Karpov. He's such a strong player, and he's also one who doesn't make mistakes. Normally, like Korchnoi does. Korchnoi is he has a lot of feelings when he plays. Karpov is very calm and normally very, very solid. So I think this is the first time I really saw him making such a big mistake. And so, yeah, and I had to check. I have to put myself a little bit down and to relax, and then I played it, yes. So I took an e4, and we can because you can make it small. We can, first of all, see what happens is it takes back, and this is, you know, this tremendous, this fork here. And in this position, just if you take back, you will have an exchange more. And this is just winning for black. So actually, what happened in the game, when I played knight take e4, he started to think for a long time. And then I will just show a little more, and he played rook c1, and he did something I've seen very strong players do. When they have blunder, they pretend like nothing. They just go for the best move. They make an extreme effort, and they try to look confident anyway. So what just happened is that I just show quickly. I put rook e8, he went b4 here, and now he went rook c2. And in this position, I started to play some small move a6. But Karpov, after the game, he was very kind. We were analyzing together. He was very kind, very nice. We look at the whole game, and he said, Pia, if you want to keep the advantage, you have to react now. You have to go d5 here. And I was worried, you know, to put the pawn. I thought it was becoming weaker, but there are still some tactical shots going to d4. And this where you see how the rooks would be, you know, playing here. I would get so much activity. So no, he couldn't go rook d2. But
you should show that line, Pia.
Yes.
Show one more move there.
Yes. Okay.
What happens after rook takes or bishop takes?
Yes. Okay. We can take. Sorry. Yeah. So let's say if you go rook takes here, we will just go taking here, and after I will just take back, and now you can't. You know, I will like winning like this. So this, and if you go bishop takes, you have the same. Then we have the rook here also. So it's still this fork on f3, the square, which is so, where there's so many tactical ideas with my knight on e5. So this is how I should have played, but I didn't do it. And in the end, it was a long fight game, and it was a draw. And but I was anyway happy with my result here. And the curious thing is that I saw in my database, I saw that 3 years later, Anatoly Karpov played against Radjabov, one of the world's best players. They played a semi-rapid game. And in this position, exactly the same position, Karpov once again played a3. And his opponent played knight take e4, rook c1. And it was exactly, we had the same move. And in this position, Black didn't either play d5, and it was a draw. And what I wanted to say with that is that sometimes we have pattern. We want to make the same moves in some, and we have difficulty to change this thinking. We want to make these moves even though they're not the best one. And you could see it also with Karpov. Yes.
Amazing. What an incredible tactic. Guys, that's such a also great point that you shouldn't be hard on yourself if you miss a tactic twice, because sometimes it's really about rewiring some pattern recognition in your brain. And even the great Karpov missed the same tactic twice. So amazing games, Pia. I think we have time for like maybe 2 questions. Any questions for Pia? We only have 6 minutes, so make them good. I would love to hear a couple questions for Pia. All right, who's got a question? Or actually, I got one from Ritha. Ritha, do you want to unmute yourself?
I have a question for you about what is your advice for anyone who gets nervous when playing higher rated players?
I always like to play against higher rated players because in that way I felt there was no pressure on me, because I didn't, if I lost, this was maybe what was expected because I play against a higher rated player. So I just talked to myself and I said, I will go out, I will try to play my very best, and I can be so relaxed because I don't have pressure for myself, and which was something very important for me. I don't even feel pressure from other people, no expectations. So I just think that when you play against higher rated players, strong player, it's like you get the chance to play against a very good player and just to enjoy it. And then afterwards to ask to analyze the game together, to learn from it. So it's like getting an extra class, a training session, and just be happy for it.
And these 2 games, of course, that Pia showed today against Karpov and Korchnoi show, hey, you can get them. Bernice, what's your question?
My question was that what advice can you give if you play someone who's a grandmaster or was born in the 1900s?
The way of playing, yeah. Okay, I always like to play. You mean the way you're playing, to play solidly or to play more aggressive, or how were you thinking? Or so no. When I play against a weaker player, of course, I want to take the initiative. I'm a little bit like Korchnoi. I'm risking a little bit more because I really want to win. But in the end, I don't want to win quickly. I normally play quite positionally, so I try to increase my advantages, but I want to let the game going. And when I play with a stronger player, actually, I think the tactics should be that not be scared. Play tactics. Don't play, because in the positional play, they will be stronger. So play things to scare them. They don't want to have too many tactics. If they go wrong, they will lose. They want to play a solid game. So a little bit go out to play active and aggressive.
Joshini, what's your question?
My question is, what was probably the hardest game you played and won?
The hardest the game I played and won. It can be I think actually one of the hardest game I played and won was in the women semifinal 2015 against Pogonina. In the Women World Championship at that time, we play matches. So I played the first game, and it was a game where I had a little advantage all the time. We went to a very long end game. She couldn't do anything, and I was moving back and forth. But it became like, I think, close to 100 moves long. And I was so scared, and I would slip. I would let her come out. But in the end, I managed. I get one of my pawns were queening, and I won the game. And I was so, so excited, so tired afterwards. And this felt like maybe one of the most toughest game I had against. I played.
Oh, Judith has a question, or maybe Judith's daughter. Judith?
Yeah, it's me. Hi, GM Pia. It's nice listening to you. Sorry, I came on late, but I did catch the game, and I think the information you're giving is very important. I just wanted you to clarify or to elaborate more on when you say that if you play a higher player, you don't focus on tactics, but you play aggressively. I just wanted you to elaborate on that, please.
No, in general, what I mean, yes, I said not tactical. No, you could go for tactics, absolutely. You should go for tactics. You should play active and aggressive, and you shouldn't be scared. So this is very important, because you shouldn't play a slow game. You should play a more active game. So maybe I made a mistake if I said you shouldn't tactics, but tactics, aggressive and active play, and not being scared to doing the good moves.
Because Bertha, what's up?
My question is, how much years have you played chess?
Oh, almost 50 years. I've been playing chess almost all my life.
Well, thanks again. Everybody's thanking you in the chat. You're amazing, very inspiring, so down to earth, as well as being one of the top players in the world. That is an incredible lesson, I think, for all of us. Sportsmanship, kindness do not conflict with being one of the chess greats. So thanks again to Pia, and you spent so much time with us, so we'll let you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, and have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Good night.
Good night.
Good night to all of our friends in Kenya, Uganda, Namibia.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, bye everyone. That was awesome. Good job, guys.